before chainsaws became standard, and before GPS-guided harvesters through old-growth forests. Two Canadian engineers in Woodstock, Ontario, built a machine out of an army jeep and a farm tractor, and accidentally changed the logging industry forever. That reddish-orange machine became the foundation of a brand that would dominate forests across North America, Scandinavia, and beyond for 5 decades. These are the 10 classic Timberjack machines that made it all happen. Number 1. The Timberjack 200 series. To understand Timberjack, you have to go back to the beginning, and the beginning is almost laughably humble. In the 1950s, Wes McGill and Robert Simmons were working out of Woodstock, Ontario, watching loggers struggle with the most basic problem in the woods. How do you move a winch from place to place? The answer they came up with was to bolt it onto a vehicle. But no vehicle existed that could handle the job, so they built one themselves. It was, by every account, a cross between a military jeep and a farm tractor, articulated 4-wheel drive with a winch mounted at the back. Their company, Timberland Machines, took that prototype and turned it into the Timberjack 200 series skidder. When it launched, it became the first articulated skidder to officially carry the Timberjack name. The machine was available with a 61-horsepower Ford gasoline engine and carried a suggested list price of just $8,925. For that money, a logger got an articulated 4-wheel drive machine, unlike anything previously seen in the woods. The 200 series wasn't perfect. Early machines had manual transmissions pulled from spare parts bins, and the braking systems were bare bones by modern standards. One early observer in Australia described receiving a Model 205 powered by a 70-horsepower Ford 4-cylinder diesel that showed up at the wharf with almost no paperwork, straight from Woodstock in classic Canadian fashion. But despite the rough edges, loggers fell in love with it. The articulated frame meant it could twist and turn through dense stands of timber that would stop a conventional machine dead. It had ground clearance, it had traction, and it had pull. The 200 series established the template that every skidder manufacturer would chase for the next 50 years. Articulated frame, 4-wheel drive, rear-mounted winch or grapple, and a cab that gave the operator real visibility over the work being done. This machine didn't just start a company, it started an industry category. Number 2. The Timberjack 225 and 225. As the 200 series matured, Timberjack began developing specialized models for different market segments. The 225 emerged as the compact workhorse of the lineup, a smaller-framed skidder built for operations where maneuverability mattered more than raw muscle. The 225 was commonly powered by the Detroit Diesel 353, a 2-stroke engine famous for its distinctive, unmistakable sound. Loggers who worked around the 225 describe it as a machine you heard long before you saw it. That 353 engine became so closely associated with early Timberjack machines that it was practically a brand signature. The 225A and 225D variants continued the lineage, with some models switching to Detroit diesel configurations and others adopting 4-cylinder Cummins engines as the product line evolved. At around 18.426 tire size, the 225 was nimble enough for work in second-growth stands where trees were smaller and spacing tighter. It wasn't a machine for the biggest timber operations, but for smaller logging contractors running 1 or 2 machines, the 225 was perfectly sized and practically bulletproof. Machines from this era are still turning up on used equipment sites today with rebuilt engines and functioning winches, a testament to the fundamental soundness of the design. The 225 also demonstrated something important about the Timberjack philosophy. The machines were built largely from generic, commercially available parts. This made them significantly cheaper to fix than the vertically integrated machines produced by competitors like Caterpillar and John Deere. A contractor working in a remote area didn't need a factory dealer to keep a Timberjack running. That design philosophy built fierce brand loyalty that persisted for decades. Number 3. The Timberjack 230 and 230 AD. The 230 is where the Timberjack legend really takes hold. Produced over multiple decades in several variants, the base 230, the 230A, and the 230D, this machine became the most widely used mid-size skidder in North American logging history. The 230 was powered by a range of engines across its production run. Early models ran the Detroit Diesel 353, a three-cylinder two-stroke that gave the machine its characteristic bark. Later variants moved to Cummins four-cylinder diesel engines producing around 100 horsepower, offering better fuel economy and easier cold weather starting. Operating weight on the 230 series ran around 16,000 pounds, making it a genuine mid-size machine, heavy enough to handle serious production logging, but light enough to work in areas where ground conditions were marginal. The 20,000-pound rated winch on equipped models gave operators real pulling capability, and the Hercules and Gearmatic winch options became almost as iconic as the machines themselves. The 230 was the machine that put Timberjack into truly broad commercial production. By the 1970s and 1980s, you could find 230 series machines from Canada to Australia, from Scandinavia to the American South. The 230A forwarder variant is particularly interesting, a rare single-bunk configuration with a swiveling seat that allowed the operator to face either direction, making it genuinely versatile for cut-to-length operations. A functioning 230A forwarder with a Cummins 4BTA in good running order is considered a collector's piece today. The 230D continued the series into the later production years, maintaining the essential character of the machine while incorporating improvements to the hydraulic systems and cab ergonomics. Number 4. The Timberjack 240 series. If the 230 was the machine that established Timberjack as a serious industry player, the 240 series was where the company demonstrated it could keep up with the market. The 240, 240A, 240B, 240C, and 240D represented a continuous evolution of Timberjack's core skidder technology across multiple decades. The 240 series was built as a slightly larger, more capable successor to the 230, and it showed up in a wide range of configurations. Engine options included the Cummins 4BT, one of the most reliable small diesel engines ever manufactured, as well as six-cylinder Deutz engines in some international variants. The 240A became particularly popular in the American market during the 1980s, and examples equipped with the Gearmatic winch and running on 28L by 26 tires became a common sight at timber sales from Maine to Oregon. The 240C and 240D variants reflect the period of Timberjack's ownership transitions. The company moved from Eaton Corporation, which owned it through the 1960s, 70s, and early 80s, to a management-led leveraged buyout in 1984, and then into the orbit of Finnish forestry giant Rauma Ripola's Forest Machine Group. Through all of those ownership changes, the 240 series kept rolling out of the factory in that iconic reddish-orange paint, the color that defined Timberjack products from the beginning until 1992, when the company shifted to green with black and yellow trim under the FMG Timberjack banner. A 240C with fresh hydraulics, good tires, and a rebuilt Gearmatic winch is still a productive machine. The fact that so many of these remain in working use today, decades after production ended, speaks directly to how well they were designed and built. Number 5. The Timberjack 330. Timberjack wasn't just a skidder company. The 330 knuckleboom loader represents the brand's significant presence in the log loading market, a segment that requires a different kind of machine entirely. Where a skidder drags logs to a landing, a knuckleboom loader picks them up and stacks them onto trucks or sorted decks. The 330 was designed specifically for this work, with a hydraulic knuckleboom arm capable of the precise, repetitive picking and placing that high production log loading demands. The 330 was commonly operated with an open cab and lever controls, and surviving examples have been recorded at timber landings running more than 2,000 hours of operation. The machine's reach and lift capacity made it well suited to roadside loading operations where a loader needs to stack logs efficiently without constant repositioning. The 330 sat at the lower end of Timberjack's loader lineup and was frequently paired with the 430 knuckleboom loader, which offered greater reach and capacity for higher volume operations. Together, these machines gave Timberjack a complete loading solution that complemented the brand's skidder lineup at timber landings across North America. Number 6. The Timberjack 380 and 380 ABE. By the time the 380 arrived, Timberjack was thinking bigger. The 380 series was the company's answer to the growing demand for heavier, more powerful skidders that could handle larger timber and move more volume per shift. The 380 was powered by the Cummins 5.9, a six-cylinder turbocharged diesel that became one of the most respected engines in the forestry equipment industry. On 28L by 26 tires and with a heavy-duty gearmatic winch, the 380 was a genuinely serious machine for production logging operations. The 380B variant became particularly well regarded. Operators describe it as a machine that combined genuine power with the mechanical simplicity that Timberjack had always prioritized. The clock transmission used in many 380 series machines, offering 6 forward and 3 reverse gears, gave operators real flexibility in matching ground speed to conditions. The 380 also represents an important moment in Timberjack's development as an international brand. By the time the 380 series was in production, Timberjack had been absorbed into the FMG group, which also included Swedish brands Kockums and ÖSA, and Finnish manufacturer Lokomo. This gave FMG Timberjack an extraordinarily broad product portfolio and international manufacturing footprint. The 380 was sold and worked across Europe, North America, and beyond, carrying Timberjack's reddish-orange identity and later the green and black of the FMG era into new markets. Number 7. The Timberjack 404. The 404 holds a special place in Timberjack history, particularly in the Australian and Pacific markets where it made its reputation in heavy hardwood extraction. According to historical accounts from the Australian forestry industry, the 404 was designed to incorporate the best features from earlier models: low center of gravity, excellent weight distribution, and genuine go-anywhere capability. This was a machine built to handle the dense, heavy hardwood species of tropical and subtropical logging environments, where lesser machines simply couldn't cope with the loads or the terrain. In Papua New Guinea and northern Australia, the 404 established Timberjack's reputation in markets far removed from the Canadian and American woods where the brand had started. Loggers who ran the 404 in those environments describe it as a machine that was more capable than it looked, deceptively stable in steep terrain, and able to pull loads that seemed impossible for a machine of its size. The 404 also demonstrated the range of Timberjack's engineering. While the North American market was developing lighter, faster skidders for softwood logging, the international market needed something different, heavier, slower, and tougher. The 404 delivered on those requirements and built a loyal following in markets that the bigger competitors had largely ignored. Number 8. The Timberjack 450 and 450. The 450 series represents Timberjack at the peak of its North American market presence. These were production logging machines, big, powerful, and built for operations where volume was everything. The 450C became one of the most recognizable machines at timber landings during the 1990s, running on a Cummins 5.9 diesel and riding on 28L by 26 tires. The 450C weighed in at approximately 30,000 pounds, serious iron by any standard. The TD40 winch option gave operators a high-capacity cable system for pulling large bundles of timber from challenging terrain. Operating dimensions on the 450C ran to about 20 feet in length and over 9 feet in both width and height, making these genuinely large machines that required skilled operators and careful management in tight timber stands. But in the right conditions, large softwood timber, relatively open terrain, efficient landing operations, the 450 series was a money-making machine that justified every dollar of its purchase price. The 450 series also reflects the grapple revolution that was reshaping the skidder market during the 1980s and 1990s. While cable winch configurations remained popular with many operators, grapple skidders offered significant productivity advantages in certain conditions. Timberjack offered both configurations across the 450 series, giving contractors the flexibility to choose the setup that matched their specific operation. Number 9. The Timberjack 460 and 460 CD. If you ask any veteran logger to name one Timberjack machine, there's a good chance they'll say the 460. This machine became so dominant in the North American skidder market during the late 1980s and 1990s that it's hard to overstate its significance. The 460 was a large frame grapple and cable skidder running on a Cummins 5.9 diesel, producing enough power to move serious timber efficiently. At 30,000 pounds operating weight, with dimensions of 23 feet in length, over 10 feet wide, and over 10 feet tall, the The 460 was unmistakably a production-class machine. The enclosed cab with full glass heat and air conditioning made it one of the more operator-friendly machines of its era, and the Clark-torque converter transmission available on later 460 variants, 6 forward, 3 reverse, gave operators smooth, efficient power delivery under load. The 460 series ran through multiple variants: the base 460, the 460C, and the 460D. Each represented refinements to the basic formula: improved hydraulics, better cab comfort, updated powertrain options. Surviving 460 series machines routinely appear on the used equipment market with hour meters reading 15,000 to 17,000 hours and beyond, reflecting just how hard these machines were worked and how well they survived the abuse. So dominant was the 460 in its market that when Blount International was looking for a skidder design to base a new product on in the early 2000s, they explicitly referenced the 460 as their benchmark. That kind of industry recognition doesn't happen without genuine excellence in the field. The 460 also represents the end of an era. John Deere purchased Timberjack from Metso Corporation, formerly Rama Rapola, in a deal announced in December 1999 and finalized in April 2000. The transaction was valued at approximately $570 million and also included the purchase of Waratah, a leading manufacturer of harvester heads. Under John Deere ownership, the famous reddish-orange machines became green and yellow. In June 2006, at the forestry fair known as Florence Wood, the Timberjack product line was officially discontinued. John Deere became the largest single brand of forestry equipment in the world. The 460 was, in many ways, Timberjack's last great statement, a machine that defined what a production skidder should be. Number 10. The Timberjack 1470. Harvesters. Timberjack wasn't always about skidders. As the forestry industry evolved through the 1990s, the demand for mechanized cut-to-length harvesting grew rapidly, and Timberjack's expanded lineup, built through the FMG acquisition of European brands, including the Finnish Elokomo operations, gave the company the technology to compete at the highest level of harvester manufacturing. The Timberjack 1470 harvester represents the company at its most sophisticated. This was a cut-to-length harvesting machine built for the demanding conditions of Scandinavian and Northern European forestry, where precision processing fell, de-limb and buck to length in a single operation had become the standard method. The 1470 was a wheeled harvester designed to work in tandem with a forwarder, processing trees at the stump and leaving sorted log assortments for the forwarder to collect. The system's integration in a machine like the 1470 was extraordinary compared to Timberjack's early skidders. Onboard computers managed the harvester head, optimized log bucking based on market specifications, and tracked production data. The operator interface was worlds away from the lever controls of a 230 series skidder. The 1470 represents the full arc of Timberjack's development. From two engineers in Woodstock, Ontario, building a machine from spare parts, to a global forestry equipment manufacturer competing at the technological frontier of mechanized harvesting. The fact that the same brand name covered both ends of that spectrum is remarkable, and it speaks to the ambition of everyone who built, bought, managed, and worked on Timberjack machines over 5 decades. The story of Timberjack is at its core the story of how one industry got mechanized. When Wes McGill and Robert Simmons built their first articulated 4-wheel drive machine in Woodstock, Ontario in the 1950s, most timber harvesting still depended on animal power, manual labor, and improvised equipment. By the time John Deere retired the Timberjack brand at Florence Wood in 2006, the forests of the world were being harvested by sophisticated computer-equipped machines that could process trees faster than any crew could hand-cut them. That's the legacy of these 10 classic machines. They didn't just rule the woods. They defined what working the woods could look like when the right machine met the right terrain and the right operator who knew how to push it. If you want to see more deep dives into the machines that built industries and changed how the world works, drop a like on this video and subscribe. There's a lot more to come.